Hello everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Here we are nearing the end of 2022 and we're on to the water rabbit year 23. So Tiger should have left us with quite a big surprise. I feel that some people should have really impressed themselves or should have really been like beguiled by the world. So there is this big-eyed, bushy-tailed feeling that sometimes a Tiger year should leave us with. So as we are going towards the end of the year, we have something to consider here. So I know this is not celebrated these days, and I understand not many people like this stuff, but I don't believe we start on the 1st of January. I believe we start on the 21st of March, as by the book, as by the ancient codes and programs and philosophies of the ancient people. So, I mean, if you don't really necessarily want to hear that, that's okay. I will do a separate video about equinox this year and also, the one in 2023. So it depends how you see the world. So my cosmovision, my vision of the world starts it on the 21st of March every year. So I'm sorry if this kind of interferes with your program. And I know some people don't like that. But here we basically have to breathe through it. And although it looks like everything is ending and starting afresh, like we think that the 1st of January is going to help us understand, who we are and help us understand the next year, it won't, unfortunately. And for many people, their good wishes and their ideologies are going to just go because there's not enough time to decide on everything. There's not enough time to get your head around what is going to be in the next cycle, because the cycle doesn't actually end till about the 20th of March. So believe it or not, it's quite okay to see this year in perspective as only just in the last quarter. So that's how I'm seeing it now, even though I do understand a lot of people tuning in now feel or believe that this is going to be the next year or the next cycle. So let's not look at it this way. Let's just take a look at 2023 and what it is going to give for the collective. So this video just basically trying to explain to you what the Water Rabbit year is about and trying to guide you away from certain patterns that we're going to collectively be under during this time. So the first thing is community and communal living situations. So I'm seeing that for many people becoming a big thing. So people having to share households, people having to be in one place at the same time. There's not enough also of us serving certain people. So for quite a few people that have come up tops in Tiger, there's going to be a very small kind of place where some people are placed. So leaders that came out in Tiger, people that have really broken through and made themselves, are going to have to service all these people. So you don't get a leadership for nothing. You don't just become a leader in Tiger for nothing. Tiger was the year of leadership, and now in Rabbit, these few people are going to have to guide big groups of people. So we are looking at schools, we are looking at households, we're looking at families, and yes, communities. So for some people that sounds really good, right? It's like, oh great, we're just going to get together. But no, it's not really that easy. So there's a lot of apprehension in Rabbit Year, and community controls or rules the higher ups or the representatives. So that means to me that not a lot of people that came up on top as leaders in 2022 are going to necessarily like the places that they're going to have to serve. So this is very important. There's going to be a lot of grinding and a lot of kind of deficit between communities unless we can really compromise and manifest things on a much clearer, better designed level. So it is all about the community and community members on whatever level they are and however much strength they have or they haven't got, as we do have a very interesting conglomerate of poor and wealthy, of strong and weak, of slow and fast. Like everybody's going to be this in this medley of lives. And I think that it's something that we can't choose right now. So where you are put at the end of 22, beginning of 23 might last. So very, very careful. Some people don't necessarily want to live in the house they're living in. Some people don't really like the other community members. A lot of people don't want to possess with themselves with certain work or with certain truths. Are you there? Are you there? Because 23 is going to be very unclear for quite a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of mental illness coming up to the surface. And I think a lot of people are going to go through a dark night of the soul then. So I talked to you about 21 and 22 being years where you don't go through the dark night of the soul. Like, try not to go there. Try to go bright. Try to go directly towards the big and the vast and the curious and the colorful. So then when we have these contracting years, such as 20 contracting, really contracting years, such as 23, you don't suffer under the pressure of it all. So the way that I'm seeing it is that under the ground, underground, underneath everything, there are lives. There are lots of people's trying to service themselves through organized community. There is probably a mass exodus of people underground. So this could be in the realms of immigration. There could be refugees. There could be a lot of people having to huddle up to each other. And sometimes we don't really have the choice, and we have to kind of burrow in deep and try to sort of find some kind of layer inside the ground that is free of energy or that's free of others. So some people are going to have to pay quite a lot of money to be able to live alone or to afford a life outside of society. So I'm seeing housing prices growing. I'm seeing petrol prices growing. Also, I'm seeing people having to live together, like having to live at your mom's house or having to, like look at the time and see like what is your future holding, because not everybody has really strut their stuff in Tiger. So if you are still not fully self-explored in Tiger, if you're not yet brave, if you're not yet reeling with energy, that's going to be very hard, because all of those people that kept their mouth shut for the last 2 or 3 years are going to go down eventually. So what I mean down is being suppressed by another person, being guided, ruled, or led by somebody else, and not having maybe enough money or sustenance or enough community or enough charm or charisma or talents to be in a better place. So this is where life puts us and slots us in between each other, and that's where we really have to see who comes up on top. And also, if you are coming up on top and you suddenly have your career and your dreams are answered and you have this huge amazing place and you're happy, this doesn't deem you irresponsible later on. So it is not necessarily about responsibility, but yeah, in some people there is a need for guidance and for care and to make no mistake. So whether or not you are up above and you're flying high, or you're down below and you're still dependent on what other people are thinking about you, or like how much money you're going to get from this job or this person, it is all about direct, clean cut conduct. And we have to be so super safe. And we have to be very careful with our money. We have to be very careful with our time, with our egos, with our management. So it is all going to come down to a structure and a better designed and better represented world. So what do I see on a global scale in terms of market? I'm seeing things going down. I'm seeing things having to be revamped and redrawn and redesigned to be able to reach just a little bit more of where we had. As a contracting energy, rabbit once again is going to be not just about like running and being free and doing whatever you want, but what is there? There is storage. So in terms of money, it doesn't just come like this now. For a lot of people, it's about stored potential and like a storage of grains, storage of food. So food storage is a really good idea this time. If you've ever been into this whole idea of like, the apocalypse thinking patterns, I'm not telling you that that's what it is. I just letting you know. So if you want to, you can go to the store and get extra cans of food. Also get extra money stacked and just saved under your pillow, under your mattress or something. It's really good to have storage and supplies. And also in some cases, a lot of what is going on in the world could be kind of depending on where you live, what you eat, where you go, what slice of society you're in, what culture or class you represent, sometimes how you dress and how you talk and how you come through. But not only, if you are kind, you're nice, and you're gentle, and if you can place people in your aura and protect them. And sometimes you'll be very surprised, even the most high and mighty leader and the most grandest, most excessive person might actually really need a home, and they might really need somebody close. So this is a very hard time for everybody who's leading also, even if you really wanted to lead and really wanted to crack through, in Tiger, you're going to be also dependent on other people. So for example, you are now viral, your videos are viral. There's going to be a chance that you might be at the perils now of what others think. So in Tiger, it never mattered what anybody thought. You just broke through. You did whatever you wanted. You made a new game. You started making money on the side, or you made a new relationship or something. Tiger is about the brave and the young at heart. And then eventually in a rabbit, basically in 2023, what we're already seeing happening now by the end of Tiger, or that last quarter of Tiger, is things get really weary, and it's like, oh, you said that, so now this person doesn't like you. Oh, you can't come to the party. Okay, we are not invited because, of this or that. Or you can't sing the song in public. Like, wait, like, don't speak. Or you got to call everybody and make sure everybody's all right with something. So this is where things get a little bit condescending, even for the most broken through person. So if you have become quite the avatar and a star, and you've made yourself into something perfect, somebody more advanced during Tiger, through exercise or eating right. Like, I've been drinking teas, like that's been my saving grace, detoxing. Maybe there are other people that that are also doing that. Maybe you're in a team or a tribe, and maybe it's a little rough around the edges. Now, what rabbit might make you do is keep your voice down and keep your center point on something that you've got. Also, people that have are very important to us now. Now, this is something very difficult for anybody who has been working hard, who has been saving their money, who has been thoughtful, who has been for many years undervalued because they were too boring. It's like, that person is so boring, but this person also needs you there as well. So like the people with stored up money and resources and lovely homes and a neat normal job and nice normal life might be, you see, now this is why I'm thinking about immigration, migration around the world, and yes, refugees. That person might need also other people to come and break their spell or break their silence. Imagine like a middle-aged or elderly person living in their home and having all of those beautiful things that they've ever thought about and needed, but like nobody comes over. It's like their children have left the nest and they don't have anybody, and then somebody will be like praying to stay in their house. So people are looking for safety. People are going underneath the ground. Also, I'm seeing villages and communities literally probably happening in metros and underneath the ground level. So rabbit wants to hide beneath. But this is very, very scary also. If you can imagine, you have a wonderful 3-bedroom house, and then suddenly it's infiltrated by 4 or 5 other people. And now this is about diplomacy, and not everybody is so lucky to have a wonderful time with the person they're next to. Psychosis sets in rabbit. So rabbit looks very safe and very fine on the level. Rabbit year is always going to be the smoothest, silkiest, nicest, kindest, and fluffiest year. But then also we have a very, very big fragility here. Is almost like something is very sensitive and nervous and open. So if you are, for example, suddenly sharing your abode with 4 or 5 lucky ones, or even if you're running a brand, even if you're working in a certain place, if you're going around with certain types of people, and yeah, there is a feeling of luckiness if you are in a community. There are lucky people that get to be together during this time and hold hands and be of a higher frequency or higher intention to make things work, but people make each other crazy. So that's really hard. So if you are always sensitized by the people, if you can't handle somebody else talking, if you can't handle somebody else eating, if you can't, like, oh my God, what did this person say? Now, this is going to be very hard for you. So diplomacy and sticking things together, things can get rough, and they don't just get rough, they get really scary. So like people don't say anything, and for a while they start planning a demise. So secret operations in the governments also are possible during this time. It's like, I'm not going to say anything, like everything's fine on the outside, but inside I'm just like, I feel a monster. So that monster is coming up in 2024 as we're going to head eventually towards the dragon year. And there's going to be a lot of that high flying remarks and huge power hungry or power driven words, and a giant, giant scope of energy happening, not necessarily a good one, in 2024. But before that, we have to really feel good and smooth in 23. So we are the lucky ones. If you have a family home, if your job is doing well, if you have a good reputation, reputations, if you're well designed, if you're clean, if your body is clean, if you are naturally nice, malleable, and beautiful person, if you appeal to everybody, if you have mass appeal, if you're popular, but not on the big level, if you're just naturally neutral and easy to get on with, and if you're just nice to be with and people just like you or having you around, great, you'll probably do the best during this time. Being malleable and kind and lucky and sensitive and poised and delicate and youthful and shiny and clean is exactly what the rabbit year is about. It is just like like the beauty of nature. It is the beauty of softness. Everything is together. Everything is well placed. But this gets a little bit unlucky and unhappy for some people. So if you're a freedom lover and if you love to stir somebody else's life, if you enjoy healing through pushing or purging, if you have a lot of Scorpio in you, for example, if you're a very, very high quantum Aquarius, it's going to be a difficult year. So that's the thing. Also, I've had a look. The signs that are finding it the hardest this year is like Scorpio and Aquarius. Because Pluto is pushing on Aquarius, and Scorpio is just going to have to harbor so many emotions and feelings and not be able to tell anything also, and be confronted by people, or maybe pushed or even criticized or marked up or down. Like imagine, like say you write a beautiful novel and then you are at the perils of what other people are thinking, or you cannot market it because it has a certain word in it. Just one word can make you unable to be marketed. So we are talking censorship. So we are talking sensitive ears and sensitive noses and eyes, like I don't trust you, or like I don't like this, I don't want this in my family, I don't want this in my community, I don't like this in my village. So this gets very uncomfortable. This is also very gorgeous, so for example, if you're somebody who's been putting up with quite a lot of ill, and you want to get on the teas, if you want to cleanse your stomach, if you want to, be on that little road with me, sure. If you like to organize, if you really now need to get clear on your boundaries, now this is going to be a godsend for a lot, because there's lots of other people that think the same. So there's the element of popular opinion. So there's going to be other lucky people, other beautiful souls that are going to also be like, well, actually, yeah, exactly. I don't want that in my life as well. I don't want that person in our family. I don't want this in our community. But we have that crazy mob with a pitchfork thing as well. So burn the witch. Not necessarily, but for a lot of communities, it's going to be a popular opinion, or there's going to be an opinion shared between people, or a very psychic way in which cultures, communities, even countries, places of work are just going to that they're just going to purge out certain concepts and certain people out of their story. So if you're interested in cleansing, if you are interested in antibacterial, anti-parasitic plants, this is probably one of the best years to sit tight and spend 1 or 2 months just cleansing and helping yourself reform, because it is about the good and the clean and the orderly and the normal, not wanting that which is disorganized, that has fangs, that has that blood sucking energy, or that control. So also we have to be very sure we know a lot of people. So this is very important to me, and I'm sure a lot of others. If you are like also becoming a personality, or if you're socially very open, you have to have more than one group. So it is about knowing how to change countries very fast if you have to. That might come in certain people's places. If you know more people around the world, also notice with whom you're clicking. And if you have friends that have moved overseas, keep them. Keep everybody or anybody that you feel just natural and normal with, just nice. People can call you out on that too, so be careful that you're not just buttering everybody up. So this is a social butterflies window, and yes, Cancer and Libra are going to have a ball during this year, because it's just going to be so easy. It's like it's so simple knowing everybody. So we have to be very careful and kind of close down also. And yeah, also in some families and situations and even countries, be careful of those slimy people. Yeah, I know you. You're my friend, right? You'd open your doors for me, right? You would buy my product, right? So you got to also be very, very domineering and careful. And yes, it is about filtering. It is about having better filtering systems, so better immune health, better thyroid, better guts, better digestive system, better everything. So we have to upgrade. And one of the best ways to do this is to go inside and to design something better. So we have to redesign things. Communities might have to be redesigned. People might have to be cleansed and changed and shifted. And I'm definitely seeing a lot of hardcore religious and spiritual rituals being performed at this time. And I'm also seeing a lot of people don't want certain people in their village or in their country, or certain people don't want a certain type of conduct anymore. So anything that was sitting on the chest is going to come out. Also, movements against liberal thinking patterns, like against the LGBTQA community, for example, or against anything, against certain type of also, like, for example, racism or sexism, or even towards that certain racial and ethnic groups, they might say no to other species. So it's getting very much like drawing the line, and maybe in some cases going to be very scary and narrow-minded as to what the community and the greater whole decides. But then there's always choice. So this is where I am also here. You have to understand yourself as part of a bigger and bigger picture. If you are a very no-nonsense person, you just don't like anybody, have only one or two friends, that's great. But we have to expand your vision, because sometimes you'll be very surprised. Family members, personalities that you've trusted, people that have been living with you under your roof for a long time might just say, yeah, okay, great, whatever's clever, but actually I don't think so. I don't trust you. Like, it's easy to get booted off the team during this time. And not for really anything that you've even said or done, is just sometimes popular opinion purges people out of burrows and out of nests. And we have to be very, very careful in terms of humble results, and also if your community and your inner mind, or even inner child, is very driven by popularity and popularity contests and who's cool and who's in right now. Censorship is going to get super strong 23 in terms of your YouTube channels or Facebook pages also. And it might not necessarily be the organizers of these pages, but there are some people that are going to really plummet. So censorship is a huge thing. It's better to redesign your life so you don't have to struggle, especially if the popular public opinion is saying no to you. Like, they're just saying no. We have to find ways to live our lives without having to struggle all the time and censor ourselves. So it's not about keeping it closed at the end of the year, because dragon is going to make you just go, wow. Like, there's a lot of people that are going to brew a huge volcano underneath it all. Because people don't want to just sit there like kissing other people's hands and feet. They don't want to just like cuddle up. Not everybody wants to just kind of like love someone and be kind to them, and it's understandable why. We're all very different during these years that we're living. There are lots of people that just want to be left alone and they just want to be quiet by themselves, but we have to still be somewhere. Communities, countries, connections, we have to expand out of that which we previously known. and find ourselves in new societal and social contexts, but that's really hard. But if you are already slotted into a family or a place, great. I just don't have a closed mind. Also understand people around you might start talking and shuffling, and then you can't do what you want to do. So this is really hard. I mean, this is like communism. This is like fascism as well, you know, when the whole community starts saying the same things and they start kind of worshipping the same deities or worshipping the same concepts or views. You don't have a choice because you're part of that, you know. So if you're in a group of feminists, everybody's like, you're a feminist, right? It's like, I don't care. Yes, I am. Yes, you know, so you don't know how to give yourself those juicy, good feelings sometimes, or it's kind of like not knowing how to get yourself a cut because everybody is so into something. So if you are in a country that is really big on political correctness and public opinion, you know, like for example, is it like South Korea? South Korea? I always mix up North and South Korea, you know, the one with the censorship, and, you know, China, obviously. Some parts of, like, say, the UK, you know, USA, of course, Russia, you know, Ukraine also, other parts of the world, different parts of Europe. So we don't really have a chance to go our own way. How everybody else wants to go is how sometimes people end up. So where I'm going as a person that's constantly trying to be an individual, I suppose, is like, you know, it's like it's good to be happy with what you have, and it's good to measure what you've got. Cleanliness and godliness, you know, and holiness. So it's like having a nice, simple life, having a nice, simple income and outcome, presenting yourself externally simply and well, you know, being externalized in a normal way, not having to be very spicy or arrogant, especially at the dinner table with people you might not know, being very careful about first impressions, and being very, very aware that not everybody has the capacity to forgive in a rabbit year. Nobody, probably not that many people. It's like they see you, they hear something of you or from you, they do something with you, and they're, especially information that you have had stored up also, you know, something comes up and they're like, oh, I can't believe this person. Ah, they used to do this, or they used to be part of this, oh my gosh, or like, you know, they have this or that. So you see, we don't really have a choice, and we don't really have a chance to improve on what we've been. And that's really hard, I suppose, also for me, as for a lot of other people. If you've been through quite an intense or aggressive past, if you've been and you've seen a lot, or you've had to become a very big individual and very ruckus person because of just how life panned out. And also I'm seeing a huge stigma against people just because they come from a certain place in the world. So this could be Russian people, this could be Ukrainian people, believe it or not, eventually. This could be, for example, oh, those monsters over there, you know, so like Palestine, you know, like Iraq, you know, they could be just like a big brand or like a label just placed, just no, we don't want that here. And that's really hard, you know. So it's like anti-Semitism or like racism, and things that are just going against a whole group of people. Like, we can't have these people in the governments, we cannot provide any places to these people, and that's very also hard for me, you know. And I suppose it's going to be very, very easy for some people that are in a common global overall. It's like, I'm a simple person, I live in a country like this, I come from this kind of background, I'm fully prepared, I'm fully backed up. So for the while, there is racial privilege. There is going to be some kind of, I don't know, spectrum of privilege, like based on your job, tertiary education, like say somebody who has children, you know, also, or somebody that has a nice house, that is living within their means, you know, people that have nice financial situations, people that are, you know, giving birth to projects and spaces that are communal and normal, and in the median are naturally, neutrally going to win. But you see, there is no real place for you after. So that's the thing. So however, sorry to drop that, sorry, it's a Scorpio thing. Okay, however nice and neat and confident you might feel based on filling the status quo and being safe in your community or your society, no matter how feel good you feel because of something somebody else has got, like say living in your mother's house, or using somebody else's stock photos, or like using certain technologies, or making friends. It's all based on this little island. It's like a fluffy little nest. It's like a beautiful fluffy, like white, I don't know, feathery little nest. And then inevitably what happens basically to us is we get shy, and we get kind of full of ego also, but ego lives in a different way. So sometimes the most egoic person I've ever met in my life were not the big people out there saying crazy stuff. They were often people living completely normal experiences and existences, and harboring a lot underneath. So also understand clarity, like cleanliness and godliness. Like for example, your living room is fine, but underneath the house, like who knows what is that? You know, how's your attic? How's your basement? Like clean up the cupboards. You know, so it's exactly, so it's not only just like closing the cupboards, you know, like sprucing up the couch. Look, this looks like a beautiful room. It's not about what it looks like. It's actually about what it feels like and it smells like. Also, people might look very good on the outside with their filters and their cosmetics, and you know, brainwashing. All of that's going to get to a really, really fine point. Like all of this filtering and obsession with appearances and appealing to other people. But actually, how is it underneath? You know, it's like, are you covering your scars with cosmetics? You know, are you uh, eating foods that are causing you stagnation in your stomach, and then you like run to the gym and work out like a crazy person to burn it off? So you know, it's about not necessarily sustainability, it's better designs. You know, so if you're going to get clean, and if you're like a really holier than thou person, and there's a certain type of ego that sometimes people get by the end of Tiger Year, I have it all together, I'm all worked out, my wardrobe is the best wardrobe, my home is the best, I just have it, I have it. And yeah, these people are the most, surprisingly, the most lucrative, the most fun, the most fulfilling, and sometimes the most sought after. So sometimes even if you don't necessarily demonstrate it outside, people can smell if you're doing good, if you have more money than others, if you have better home. But you see, this is a small world. In the end, we're going through, I'm just going to let you know, we're going through a big change. Underneath all of this veneer that sometimes Rabbit is obsessed with, underneath all of this design, underneath all of this like computerized image, and you know, like obsession with power that one gets through perfection. Obsession with perfection, obsession with perfect people. We have Jupiter going through also Aries for most of this transit. Obsession with how fine you are, how fine everything looks. Obsession with new, fresh, brand new personalities. Youth. Obsession with young people, with chirpy people. Obsession with fineness, just fine things. And then eventually we have what? We have Dragon, and Dragon's gonna eat you up. So very careful, Dragon, and after Dragon we have Snake. So if we're talking wars and combat, I don't want to, yeah, already, yeah, in a global video for Tiger Year 22, I have talked about war. I was like, I don't want to say this, but I see war. I didn't want to say it, but like, I'm just letting you know, after some censorship, and after some media, and after some clarity and design and tactical thinking patterns, I do definitely see a huge uprising in 24 and 25, and then 26 is going to be very hard for some people. So basically what we have to do, we have to be, sorry, is we have to be, it's not just about broadcasting and making a beautiful scene. It's not just about this. We have to be very, very careful. We have to be very knowledgeable, and underneath the veneer, and also some primitive thinking patterns that are just like, well, I don't know, like I'm just like this. We have to still grow something. So we have to evolve. It's a huge year. Okay, I'm coming back to the teas. Please drink the tonics and the teas and get your body working well. You know, not just like eat, eat, eat to get energy, but like cleanse your body during Rabbit year. Very important. Underneath, we're trying to evolve, and we're trying to make a new, more masterful and more healthy world. And then come already, yeah, like May, June, July is going to be very obvious as to who wins. Very, very fast. Rabbits that sprint the fastest, businesses that grow the quickest, people that are the happiest, the luckiest, the shiniest, people that know everybody, an unconscious, unseen wave spell of popularity, and also what is infamous and what is just not allowed to be. It's like hand to the face, not allowed to be here. Okay. So then we also have to understand how we're going to dream and how we're going to go, because Snake is going to be eventually 2025, very diligent and very formal, because we're going to have to go through some hard stuff, you know. So it's going to be like the alchemist, you know, waiting, thinking, feeling. And then eventually 26 is not going to be the worst, but it is going to be like usually like an impoverished or like a skinny year. So we don't want to cause that. So like even if you have also everything today outside, even if you have the most beautiful face, you have the most beautiful home, you have the most beautiful husband, you've got the most beautiful children, even if you have everything in your pocket and it's all like there, I've got it, I've got it. You have to understand that some of the time this little win that people have, like cherish it. Very lucky people, some people, is also very important to put everything into perspective and to start planning and organizing for the last call, you know. So what I mean, how can I say, like you don't want to do it too much. Like, I don't want to freak you out and make you paranoid. It's just about knowing that it's not just about prancing around in a beautiful dress and saying, hey guys, I'm doing good. It's not just about like blowing kisses, which is what sometimes the winner in a rabbit year would be. Being weightless, being eccentric a little bit, but in a more like a kind of cute, like fluffy way. Being famous is something that rabbit year can give, or being just very clean, very well-to-do, being very well-spoken of, having a huge amount of people, huge like numbers, in rabbit year. Many people want you there. Many people love you. Many people think you're the most exciting person in the world. Many people love who you are. They love like the pictures you draw, or like the family you have. They love you. That's good, but we have to somehow find ways to not necessarily plan ahead, but design better systems. So it's not all just on the surface. And this was probably like the worst that happened in certain eras of our evolution as people, like say the 1950s, 60s, flower power, everything's fine, but people didn't prepare anything. So although like the sun is shining for some people and it feels like it's summer, you know, you got to prepare. So it's not like, it's summer, I'm going to have a holiday. It's like usually, you know, like ancient cultures also, just quickly, in certain tribes, they used to gather berries and roots and different types of things. They used to hunt certain animals and then preserve, you know, preserve them, smoke their flesh, you know, for the colder months of the year. So this also has to be understood. So in perspective, the sun is shining for quite a lot of people, and yeah, the weather's fine, and rabbit might make you feel like you have a lot of money or you have enough. And if you are not that person, like I'm sorry if you are completing tiger year and feeling impoverished or skinny or dry, because that's going to be very hard. It's going to come with you for a long time. If you finish tiger year, now this is important, and you have no color to you, if you haven't burst through, if you haven't had that heart expansion yet, it's going to be very dry and sulky and maybe very minuscule what you can do in rabbit. So that's where people find conformity, and they don't want to ever let it go. It's like, oh, it's just my little house, it's just like my room with a TV inside, and I'm just so happy to have that. So we have to also understand long haul changes are hard here now for some people. So experiencing yourself in a higher frequency, trying to do more, trying to be more creative or more talented or more conscious or more happy or more joyful is going to be like, there's a cap on that. So that's going to be difficult, and it's going to be very hard for certain people to come up with the goods or the money for certain trades, for certain things, hard to source materials if you don't have anything of your own. Yeah, so I'm also talking about the oil trade, as you might have caught on, you know, or also like resources, gas, petroleum as well. Very difficult for certain people, very difficult, just letting you know. And then like eventually, basically, we have to know one another on a kind of more conscious footing. And then, yeah, also And rabbit, if you come out scraggly and like unconscious in tiger, if by the end of 22, beginning of 23, you are really like ravenous and you're strung out and your nervous system is like pulsing and crazy, it's like a scraggly kind of ugly rabbit with bad fur. So that takes ages to come out. So for a person to come out of trauma, to come out of aggression, to come out of like fight or flight response, it takes a long time for rabbit to get good at things. It takes a very, very, very long, heavy, like mature road to basically get all those clots or all those clogs out of you. It really would pay, you know, to detox, really buy some detoxing plants, buy some teas, simply, yeah, because at the end of the day, rabbit, if you're not feeling lucky and fresh and clean and fluffy at the beginning, it's probably going to continue. So what to do, like where to go now for the scraggly rabbit, for the unloved, for the badly interpreted person, for the misguided person, for the unhealthy person, for the ruined person. You know, sometimes say tiger year was all fire, all fights, or all anger, and then like say come rabbit, you don't really know what to do now. So basically, how to do it. Tell yourself a better story. Sleeping a lot during rabbit is very good, especially now as winter in the northern hemisphere. Sleeping a lot, also telling yourself off if you've been mean or if you've been harmed, trying to help yourself get through it. It's like a dark night of the soul for some people. Some people do have to do some shadow work in a rabbit year. It's just how it will be. And trying to comb all those scraggles out of your fur. So if you can imagine you're a rabbit with lots of fur and what you've been through is kind of stuck or like, you know, it's kind of clogged up, and it's important to kind of brush it. And there are definitely some angels out there that will brush another person's fur, or they will try to get those kind of bad feelings or bad energies out of somebody else's world. But we have to also be careful with that. It is not about adopting people unless you want to suffer some unusual and awkward consequences. So yeah, make sure that you're not doing that. And yeah, that's about it. So thank you very much, everybody. I will now make 12 videos for every sign and talk about every star sign. But first, let's talk a little bit about what I have prepared earlier that can help you this year. If you'd like more insights on this year to come, please check out my Almanac for 2023. It has all the information for all the signs, and it is available in Kindle book form and physical book form as well. And also, if you like, have a look at my Patreon with all the details for every sign, for every month, and day-to-day prognosis. And yes, my website, of course, where you can read more about me. And if you like, you can get a booking as well. And yes, I do year-ahead readings, which are very popular every year. And here's my retreat website. If you're curious about coming to see me in Peru, then yes, of course, please like and subscribe. Thank you.